Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 179, and I am Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph, on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. Today is Monday, November 16th, and I am coming fresh off of Indie Knit and Spin on Saturday, which I'm going to talk to you about a little bit. And yeah, it's a relaxing day because Indie Knit and Spin's over. That was my last show of the year. So I just feel like I can breathe a little bit. I basically said I was going to take a few days off. I was taking a break from work this week. That never really happens. I didn't work yesterday, but it was Sunday and I had other stuff going on. I'm at least not dying for a few days. Any days that I'm not actually dying, that feels like a break. I have other work stuff to do though, but it's still nice to just not feel the pressure. So anyway, thank you for being here with me today. Let me say hello to a few people who introduced themselves on the welcome thread on the 90% Knitting board. We had Pat Cox from Idaho, Astrid from Portugal, Claudia from Iowa, Linda from Michigan, and Mary from Louisiana. So welcome to all of you, and thank you for being here with us. Thank you for introducing yourselves. I don't have a lot of knitting. I know, I feel like I've said this the last few weeks. I don't have a lot because, again, when I was getting ready for the show last week, I wasn't having a whole lot of crafting time. This should be changing soon. Again, the pressure of getting ready for shows, because I had two fairly close together, Highlands on the Fly and then Indie Knit and Spin. And since I added Highlands on the Fly fairly late in the game, it was sort of like I had to scramble to adjust my dye schedule to accommodate everything, plus wholesale stuff and trying to get things ready for shop updates and special orders. But now that, the load is lightened because the show season's done, or at least the shows for this year are done. I don't really have a show season. I know Heather from Fiberista Fowl, she talks about show season. Hers must be grouped a little closer together. Mine's pretty spread out this year. At any rate, I will hopefully have a little bit more crafting time here coming up, so I'll actually have more to show you. But I do have a finished object to show you this week, which is exciting. It's not been blocked yet, but the knitting is done. And this is my view from the Charles shawlette, or shawl. I really like how it turned out. This is View from the Charles. The pattern is by Jennifer Lassonde. We just did a giveaway for this pattern last time. Actually, I do believe I've heard from all three of the pattern winners from last time. I'm pretty sure I did anyway. So hopefully you've all been connected with your patterns, your prizes. If not, let me know. At any rate, I knit this out of my Bonafide base, which is my DK weight base, and I do dye this in gradients. Jennifer wrote the pattern with gradients in mind, as well as, like leftovers. You could use that and do it in segments. I wanted to try it with my Bonafide gradients, and I really like how it turned out. So this is the first section that has all of the different patterns in it, the stitch patterns that are, divided up by garter stitch panels. It's so interesting. It was so much fun to knit. I think I said last time it was kind of like knitting a sampler, and it really was. What I didn't realize last week when I was showing you this was how the other side was constructed. For whatever reason, I mean, obviously the reason is I hadn't read the pattern very well, but what you do, you pick up these stitches along this one edge, which you can see is all the black. But then I thought it was just worked garter stitch and decreases. It's not. I mean, it is garter stitch, but it's done in short rows, and it really makes a very cool effect. So all through the black line that goes down that middle area, and then this first little piece of the black, this ended the first ball. And then I ended up breaking into a second ball of the same gradient. Yeah, over here, sorry. Which I was going to, last week I talked about this. I knew I was going to have to use a second ball, and I thought I would start with the black and work outward. However, I really wanted to have more of this pink in here again, so I just started at the center the same end I started at here. And I really like how that worked out. So I got a lot more pink in there and then ended with this warm brown. I had approximately a half a ball left. This is all that's left. So I used about 350 yards for this pattern. I'm pretty sure, unless I misread it, that she said in the pattern she used a 250 gram gradient or ball of or skein of DK weight for the one she did. So I used about 100 yards more than that. Now I may have misread, so don't quote me on that. And I hadn't really looked it up. I could do that, I guess. Let's see. I just know that I ended up having to use a lot more than I thought I was going to need to use, but it worked out fine. And I really, oh, wait. Oh, no. It says 250 to 400 yards. DK weight, it says 250 yards. Fingering weight, 400 yards. So I used, you know, an extra 100 yards over what her pattern information says. That could be gauge on my part. Like I said, I did not measure gauge. It was a shawl. I just kind of do shawls. I don't usually measure for gauge. I don't swatch for shawls. And I knew I had the extra ball if I needed it. And even had I not, I could have dyed more black yarn and just done this whole side in black. That would have been fine too. But I like how it turned out. I would just say be aware that if you are doing DK weight and you're not paying attention to gauge, you may want to have some extra yarn on hand. I don't know. I didn't go through the projects that other people have done to see if anybody else ended up running short from what the pattern recommended. It's probably me. Anyway, I have not blocked this yet. It is small. And I mean, it will definitely be fine. I could, you know, pin it like this and it'll definitely cover, you know, the top of my back and my shoulders and keep me warm in that way. I did not do the keyhole option. There's an option for the pattern that you can do a little keyhole down here near the end of the second side of the shawl. And had I done that, I would be able to pull this end through and it would stay. I'm half tempted to rip this out and do the keyhole and then reknit those last few rows. But I don't think I'm going to, just because it's done. And I've got plenty of shawl pins that I can very easily keep this on. And I think once I block it too, it'll expand a little bit and it'll be fine. It is a much longer triangle than I usually knit with regards to a shawl. I like elongated triangles as opposed to really sharp triangles. But I just loved how this pattern went. This pattern made me happy. I just loved knitting it. It was so much fun. So I would recommend it. And it's asymmetrical. It's not, the second half is not the same shape as the first half, obviously. So that's another unique element to it. So anyway, I enjoyed it. And that was done on US 8s. So that's my finished object for you. I tried really hard to get it done so that I could take it to the show with me on Saturday, because I do the gradients in this yarn, but I package them with a free, like a coupon code to download my Takush Chakao pattern. And that's always how I sell it. And I know people don't just use it for that cowl pattern. And I thought it would be nice to have a sample of something else you could do with the gradients, but I didn't have time to block it and I didn't want to rush. So it'll be on my table next time. Alrighty, so I did work on some other things. Let's see, I've morphed my current projects, 2 of them, into my awesome granny bag. The drawing is still open. I'm not doing that today. So if you want to enter the drawing for the awesome granny giveaway, the set that Darlene has given us for that, you still have time. Anyway, the zombie waffle socks. I'm still working on them. Okay, so this is the finished one you've seen a billion times. This is the second one. I did finally get the toe done. And look, it's so matchy. It really did work out pretty matchy. I don't always get matchy socks, but these actually turned out pretty matchy. I still need to do the afterthought heel. That's the only thing. But I finished the toe the other night and it was late and I just didn't have it in me to pick up stitches to do that. But that will be happening soon. So by next week, they should be done. I can't promise I'll actually be able to show them to you because by then Christopher may have already absconded with them, so I'll take a picture anyway. So you'll at least be able to see that I did finish them. But those, I'm using the Blueberry Waffles socks pattern by Sandy Turner, and I'm using my Squish 2.0 fingering weight base, which is the Corriedale nylon blend. I'll tell you what, people at the show this weekend really liked that base. They were very excited to see it, so I was glad to have had some with me. And I'm just glad in general that it's getting a good reception. I get a lot of comments from you guys about how much you really like that base. So definitely I will be keeping it in the shop on a fairly regular basis. And this is my double tap colorway, my Zombieland movie inspired colorway. On US 1.5s because that's what I use pretty much for socks all the time. And the other thing that I did work a little bit on, and you haven't seen these in a while, is my Fobble ankle socks that I started a while ago. This is the second one. I finally have the heel flap done. I mean, this has been slow going because I just haven't been working on it very much. So it's just, you know, that little bit of cuff and then about an inch of stockinette, and then I did the heel flap. So now I get to do the heel turn, and then I can start doing the gusset. Again, I'm going to try my hardest to get the whole second sock, or fingers are crossed. It's not like I can or can't. You know, it's going to work out how it works out. But the first sock took just about a half of skein gram-wise. So I'm really hoping that I'll be able to finish the second sock with the other half. And then that will leave me the second ball that I won't need to use, and I'll probably just do a giveaway or something so somebody else can play with it. But this is the Garn Studio Drops Fobble in color number 672, and it's very pretty. I really love the patterning and the stripiness, so they're fun, and I like having ankle socks. I have one pair and I wear them around a lot, so it'll be nice to have a second pair. So worked on those, and then when I vend, I've told you this before, I like to have something simple that I can knit on, you know, when it's slow in the booth or whatever. I didn't really have anything plain vanilla-y going right now. Well, I mean, I had the zombie waffle socks, but seeing as I was at the heel, I didn't want to have to deal with the heel at the show. So I cast on the second Barn Dance sock. Remember, I knit my Barn Dance sock a while back when I came out with this colorway, Barn Dance. And I have, actually the first one I don't even have with me because it's on a sock blocker and it's in the bin with all of my table samples for the show. But again, this is out of the Corriedale, the Squish 2.0. Corriedale nylon blend, and people really, really loved it. So I'm just so happy that everybody's excited about this base because I really like it too. It's squishy and soft, and it's going to be warm, and it's going to wear really well. So anyway, but I cast this on at the show once things were a little calmer. The show was really interesting. I'm going to tell you about it later. It wasn't like really hustle bustle at the very beginning like a lot of shows usually are, but it was steady. But even still, I didn't have a chance to start knitting till later on into it. But this is as far as I got. I got all that done at the show, so that's not too bad. And again, US 1.5 needles, my Squish 2.0 base in the Barn Dance colorway. So that's all the knitting that I managed this past week. I have, again, and I think this is because the pressure's off for how busy I was versus how busy I'm going to be now. I mean, I'm still busy, but not like getting ready for a show busy. I now suddenly, my knitting mojo is coming back and I want to cast on all the things. So I have a couple of hats that I want to cast on. One is probably going to be for me, or it's just going to be a table sample, although I want to do it out of a yarn that's not mine too, which I'll show you in a minute. So I don't know. I may end up making a couple of them. And then, well, here's the one that I want to make that definitely will be for me, at least one of them. It's the Zombie Killer Slouch by Luciana Young. And this is a freebie pattern on Ravelry. Oh, I shouldn't be, well, it's free. But there's kind of two different versions, the way you finish it at the top, the decreases. And again, this was actually inspired, this pattern was inspired by the movie Zombieland as well, which I thought was kind of fun since I'm knitting socks in a colorway that was inspired by Zombieland. Anyway, this takes bulky yarn. And so I would like to do one of these for my table as a display sample out of my Mega Base, which is my bulky yarn. However, the only colors that I have on hand right now, they're up in that little fabric bin, are Earthenware Red, Tree Frog Green, and Sunken Treasure Gold. And I have samples on my table of something in all three of those colors already. So I want to do it in a color different than what I already have samples of. Because even if it's not the same weight of yarn or the same base, I like to be able to show different colors. So the one that I do for myself for a table, well, the one that I do for a table sample is going to be a color that I haven't dyed yet. But the other one that I really want to do is with some yarn that I purchased at Indie Knit and Spin this weekend, and I'll show you that in a minute. So this is one that's probably going to get cast on pretty soon. The other one that I want to make, and I don't know really why I want to make it, because it's not a hat I will wear. I'll probably make it and give it away to somebody. It's the Naughty But Nice hat, and I just want to make it because I love the cables in this hat. Excuse me, it's not the greatest picture of the hat. There's better ones on Rav and on Knitty. This is a Knitty pattern from Winter 2009 by Natalie Larson. I'm just in the mood to do some cabling, but I don't want to commit to a huge cable project like a sweater. I'm not there yet. I mean, I have 2 sweaters worth of yarn, 2 sweater lots ready to go for sweaters, my antler cardigan, and then I forget the name of the other one, but it's a very cabled sweater. I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to commit to that yet, but I can do a hat, and I'm kind of in the mood to do short burst kind of projects right now. So I don't know. Those are coming up. Those hats will get made. And the other thing I want to do, and I'm not sure what I want to do with it, I kind of maybe want to make a headband or something with this. Have you seen this, the Death Flake motif chart? It's also free on Ravelry. It's called the Death Flake motif, and this is how it knits up. I'll let you go and you can download it yourself. I just think it's so cool, and I've seen it knit into a lot of things. I don't know what, I want to make it. I'm thinking out of like a fingering weight yarn, I could do kind of like a lined headband for winter or something. That could be pretty cool. I don't know. I'm going to have to play with that. But it's stranded knitting, of course. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where I go with that. I'm always going somewhere, aren't I? Yeah. So those are possibilities for what you may see next time. I did do a little bit of spinning, mainly because I needed to finish spinning a couple of fibers that I was going to use during my presentation at Indie Knit and Spin. I did a lecture on conservation breeds, which actually it went pretty well, I think. 4 people came, so it was actually one of the workshops that had more people in it. They were supposed to be small. They were only supposed to be like 6 people max. At any rate, I spun up some Navajo churro, which this was an exciting project. Do you see all that stuff sticking out of there? That's not my hair. That is the churro. It's a very hairy, very wiry, very dry, crispy kind of fiber. Churro doesn't have much lanolin in it to begin with. So once it's, you know, scoured and ready to be spun, it's very dry. And it's funny because it looks like hair. It came in a bat that I had, and it was just kind of laying out in my living room at one point while I was spinning it, and I glanced out of the corner of my eye, and it was like, whose hair is that? Why is there a scalp sitting in my living room? There wasn't. It was just the Navajo churro. So it was an interesting spin, though. I mean, this is definitely not next to skin soft fiber by any stretch of the imagination. Churro is mainly used for like weaving and carpets and things like that. That's what it's known for. But it was interesting to play with. So I did spin that, and then I spun a little bit of Jacob as well. So here's what the Jacob looks like. It's a very soft, I found it to be a very kind of squishy, spongy fiber. I don't know if you can see that. It's just sort of, it's got a nice bounce to it. This has a lot of veg matter in it too. It's a farm wool. I have two small Navajo plaid skeins of it because I'm apparently goofy. Well, I just wasn't paying attention. I had just finished spinning the churro and plying it, and which, you know, if you spin one way and then you ply the opposite direction. So I spun the first bobbin, the singles of the Jacob. When I switched bobbins and went to do the second one, for whatever reason, I spun in the opposite direction. And I realized it halfway through that I'd done it, and I thought, are you kidding me? And there was really no easy way to mitigate that issue at that point. So I just finished spinning that way, and I Navajo'd plied both bobbins just so that I could use the fiber and show it. So it's not the best spinning job just because it's not, but it's actually much thicker than what I was anticipating getting. But it's a nice fiber, and it has a bounce to it. I'm going to spin the rest of it just as a 2-ply the way I originally meant to. But yeah, anyway, that's my spinning so far. And jumping ahead to the next topic, actually, the Natural Colors Fibers Spin-Along started yesterday. Yay! I was not online at all yesterday, so I did not get to open the finished object thread, the no chatter thread, until today. But it is open now, so if you've already been spinning and you've got at least 4 ounces done, you can post your picture. I'm not going to repeat all of the guidelines for the spin along. I will just say that it goes, you know, starting yesterday through the end of this year, December 31st. All of the guidelines are in the main spin along thread on Ravelry, so check them out there. If you have any questions, feel free to post there or message me or whatever, and I'll help you out. The one thing I do want to clarify a little bit, because this was sort of a question, this was a question that came in after the last time I recorded, and it was something that I hadn't talked about in the guidelines, was what has always been 4 ounces. You have to spin at least 4 ounces to qualify for your project, to qualify for a prize in the spin along. However, if you have, let's say you've got a pound of one type of fiber, okay, that you have, like, that you bought together. Let's say you had a pound of Jacob, okay, you can't, it's not going to be like spin 4 ounces, call it a finished project, spin the other 4 ounces, another one, like 4 ounces. That's not 4 individual projects. It's still the same batch of fiber that you're spinning, so that still only counts as one project, even though you're spinning 16 ounces. However, if you have maybe a, well, for instance, the Shetland spinning sets that I sent out to everybody, those 10-ounce sets, you know, 2 ounces of 5 different colors. It came together, it's meant to be used as a set. That is considered one spinning project. Even though technically it's more than 4 ounces by twice, it's still considered one spinning project. However, let's say you have some Shetland, and maybe you've got like 6 ounces of one color, and you've got 6 ounces of another color, and 4 ounces of another color. If you didn't buy them together in a set that was meant to be spun together, sure, you can call those 3 different things 3 different projects. I know this seems a little subjective, I guess, and I don't mean for it to be. I'm trying to keep it a little bit fair, I guess, and I'm not really sure if this is fair or not, since if somebody's deciding to spin a sweater lot of fiber during the spin along, you know, that could be over a pound or 2 pounds of fiber, and I'm saying, well, that counts as one project, and then somebody else might spin 4 ounces of 5 different fibers, and that's 5. You know, I don't know. If you have questions, post them to the board, and I will try to be as fair about this as I can. But I'm considering a spinning project just that. Like this lot of fiber right here, this is a spinning project that I'm intending to spin all at once for the same project. Okay? Regardless of whether it's 4 ounces, 16 ounces, 24 ounces, whatever. It's one project. Okay, if you don't have something like that and you have littler projects, like I've got a 4 ounce, you know, thing of undyed mixed BFL or something, then that's 4 ounces. That's enough to qualify for a prize. And then like another batch of something else. The idea here was just to focus on undyed fibers and to get experience with them. And, you know, relatedly, you're probably going to be spinning with some fibers maybe that you haven't spun with before, which is also nice. And I'm trying to keep this simple after the knit along of doom. Well, not of doom. It went really well, but you know, that really complicated rules knit along we had this year. I was trying to keep the spin along simple, and now I feel like I've got this whole, you know, 4 ounce versus what's a project, 4 ounces or how many ounces or whatever issue going on, and I'm not trying to make it more complicated, but I do want to try to keep it fair. So whatever, I'm doing the best I can. Okay, prizes. I've told you about the prizes. We've got the $25 gift certificate from Dyed in the Wool from Benita of the Fiber Pusher podcast. I'm going to be offering a fiber sampler, which I still don't know specifically what that's going to be, but as soon as I do, I will show you. And again, I have one more fibery prize that's supposed to be coming to me, and as soon as it comes, I will show you. I've already mentioned that the drawing thread is still open for the Awesome Granny Bags by Awesome Granny giveaway that Darlene has offered. And don't forget, she is also offering a 15% off discount for her shop on Etsy through the end of the year using the code FiberNymp15, all run together, FIBERNYMPH15. Benita also is offering a 10% discount from anything in the Dyed to the Wool shop, which is FND10. Is the code for that. So that's 10% off anything from Dyed in the Wool, 15% off anything from Bags from Awesome Granny. So thank you to both of you ladies again. And I will put those codes in the show notes as I did the last week or two. Now, I have new things to show you because I did vend at a show, and it's so rare that I go to a show and vend and don't come home with some new things. I'm not going to show you absolutely everything because there's a couple little things that I actually bought more as gifts for other people, so I'm not going to show you those. But I do have some fun stuff, so let me show you. First off, I got some stitch markers. I need to get into them. These are from One Sly Fox, who is Sarah Tiegler, and she does have an Etsy shop. It's oneslyfox.etsy.com. She said that right now she is really not doing much with her Etsy shop at the moment, but you could check it out. I didn't even have a chance to look and see if she has anything in there. But she does make some really cool stitch markers, and I just love these. These aren't my usual type of stitch markers that I like because I like the metal loop kinds. These are the wire kind, but I just love the little skulls on them. If I can get them to focus. Aren't they cute? There's 5 of them, and I just thought they were adorable. So I had to have those. So, yay, new stitch markers. Then this is the yarn that I got that I want to make that zombie killer slouch hat out of, and this is by Shirtsy Cat Designs, who is Kelly Straub. This is her Just Bulky Superwash color in the Calliope colorway. It's 100% superwash merino, and I just loved these colors, and I love that's speckled yarn. Yeah, I don't really do speckled yarns, at least not on purpose. You know, sometimes I end up with speckling inadvertently, but check out all these colors. Isn't it pretty? And I like the name Calliope too, because there is actually a concert series here in Pittsburgh called Calliope. It's folk music, and I have a friend who has tickets to it every year, and so I've gotten to go. As a matter of fact, there's one on Saturday that I'm going to get to go to. So I just kind of like the name, and I thought, oh, there's kind of a connection to that, so I thought I would get the yarn. And this, now that I've shown you, I can wind it into a ball and start knitting that slouchy hat. All right, moving on. Let's see. I'm going to save you the best for last. Well, not the best, but kind of the most exciting one. Actually, I'm really excited about this too, though. Maybe I'm excited about everything. I don't know. There was a vendor at Indie Knit and Spin who has not been at Indie before, and it is, let's see, Destination Yarn. Here's her tag. And I am totally blanking on what her first name is. I'm terrible. Um, will you please focus? Please, maybe. Yeah, that's not going to focus. Anyway, Destination Yarn. Um, it's handmade yarn inspired by travel. And so I bought this set. This is actually 2 skeins of yarn. The green is one, and then this multicolor autumnal sort of shades, that's the other one. So this is DK weight yarn. It's her souvenir base, DK. I'm pretty sure this is probably the same DK base that I carry. 231 yards. The colored one, the multicolored one is called Fall Run, and the green one is called Pine Forest. And I bought them specifically. She had these paired together along with some other pairings specifically for this cowl pattern that she designed. And I'm going to try to hold this up. Oh, Jean Stevenson. I could look at the pattern and remember her name. That's right. Jean Stevenson of Destination Yarn. And this is called the Fall Run Cowl. So let me see if I can get the picture up there. She had this sample there in person, and it was beautiful. I loved it. And I had to have it. And, you know, I don't always have to have the same colors. These are the colors that were used in the sample. There were a couple other color pairings there that I really liked. They were pretty, but they just weren't quite this. So, and I said, I'm trying to get out of my rut of loving these colors. I mean, not stopping loving these colors, but I knit in these colors a lot, and I wanted to do something different. But for this cowl, I really, really think that was the perfect color combination. So I have that. Then Hip Strings was there, and Hip Strings is a vendor that does spindles, supported spindles, and they have fiber. I did buy one of their spindles last year, you might remember. I haven't used it very much, but again, I tend to buy drop spindles just because they're beautiful and I consider them works of art in and of themselves. I did not buy one of the little dishes that you use to do the supported spindling last year, which I didn't think was a big deal because I've got plenty of dishes. Plus, I do have like a little wooden cup that I got from Lori, who does the other wooden... the other supported spindles, Lori Roan. I'm sorry. I'll put it in the show notes. At any rate, I do have one from that. But oh, Deer Creek, Deerfield, Deer Creek. I'm trying to remember Lori's company. I'm sorry. Anyway, I just bought this cute little dish. It's a dish to do supported spindling in, and they do the, I think it's like laser engraving or something. They do it on the spindles and on these bowls and everything. And they had lots of really, really pretty fiber there too, but I didn't need more fiber. So I didn't buy any fiber, but I did buy the little bowl. So lastly, I bought a drop spindle. Actually, it's not a drop spindle. It's another supported spindle. It is a Tahitian. Oh my gosh. I wish my brain was working today. Tibetan, not Tahitian. I knew it started with a T and I knew it wasn't Turkish. Because whenever I got home, I texted Melissa and I said, I got a spindle. I got a Turkish spindle. And I'm like, no, I got a Tibetan spindle. Because the joke was that when we were at Maryland Sheep and Wool, I told her, do not under any circumstances let me buy a spindle. Because I buy them and then I don't use them. And she was militant about not letting me buy a spindle, so I told her I got a spindle. She's like, that's because I wasn't there to keep you from buying it. That's true. Anyway, this is the spindle I bought, and I bought it purely because it is absolutely beautiful. The shaft is birch, the whorl is spalted tamarind, which I'll tell you, I've never heard of tamarind, but it's beautiful, isn't it? And the spalting, that the lines, that is what the spalting is. And I believe that is due to, I don't know, some sort of insect activity or disease in the tree or something. I think that's where spalting in wood comes from. I'm not 100% sure. Something like that. At any rate, It's just gorgeous. And there was so many there. I mean, there was a nice little collection of them. They were all very, very different. There were some that were darker, and I would have liked to have had one of the darker ones, but this one was the prettiest. So I just chose the lighter wood. And it's a 1 ounce spindle. I do want to play with it, so I will eventually start spinning on it. And I guess I could use this little dish in it with it too. So anyway, but it's gonna at least be looked at and admired. I need to find a better way to display my drop spindles and my spindles in general, so that I can enjoy them, since I do mainly look at them as opposed to using them. But this was by NXN, and I'm not sure it's N by N. Oh, it is N by N. That's how it's spelled. Their Etsy shop is nbyn.etsy.com. So nbyn.etsy.com. I have not been to the shop to see what they have there, but you might want to go and check that out if you're interested. Very beautiful things. So that was pretty much it. That was all I got this time. I was fairly well controlled because there were other things I could have gotten, but I didn't. Alrighty, let's see. That's it for 90%. 10%. Sorry, that's my house phone. If you can hear it ringing, it's very chirpy and lyrical. I haven't really done any reading in the last week. I just haven't had time. I did, however, get my last big outdoor project done that I needed to do before winter. And that happened yesterday. If you remember, earlier this fall, I got a new storage shed delivered, a fairly sizable one, 10 by 16 storage shed. A lofted barn was what it was called. And my goal was to get electricity run out there, because the storage tent that we used to have, I mean, there was a light hooked up in it, but you had to connect it to an extension cord that had to plug in at the house. And I mean, that works, but it's not optimal. So yesterday we got the electricity hooked up, and this was one of those things that I said, well, I'm sure I can figure it out if I watch a YouTube video. I'm really dangerous with the YouTube videos sometimes. And I mentioned that to a friend, and he's like, please let me help you. I'm like, oh, it'll be, he's like, please let me help you. I'm like, okay. And after watching what it all was involved, I mean, it wasn't totally hard. I mean, it was a half-day project probably, all told. But yeah, it's done way better than if I was doing it. So it's done now. And that's the important part. I have lights. I have plugs out there. It's great. It'll be wonderful this winter. I'll actually be able to see out there in my building. If I need to plug things in, which I do. I have electric start on my snowblower, so I need to be able to plug in the extension cord to start it. So I can do that from the plug there instead of running the extension cord into the house. So I'm really excited to have that project done. It's good to know people who know how to do things so that you don't die by electrocuting yourself while you're trying to do home improvements. I'm really handy and I can do a lot of things, but electrical is just not my strong suit. So anytime I do something I mean, I can do minor things, like I can replace like electrical sockets and things like that. That I know how to do, but when it actually comes to running new lines and having to put in junction boxes and things, yeah, that's a little bit outside of my scope of expertise. So anyway, all right. I'm going to pause here because there is going to be a shop update this week. Wednesday, the 18th at 3 p.m. I think 3 p.m. Let me double check that part because I don't remember if I changed the time or if it's... Let me see. Oh. I don't even have it listed there. Where did I list it? I have to change it at the top of the shop page. Because I did not write it there. I usually do. I was in a hurry. And I didn't get it up there yet. I got it everywhere else, on Facebook and on Ravelry and the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group. Okay, yes, it is Wednesday the 18th at 3 p.m. Eastern. That will be the shop update. And it is going to be all of my show leftovers. we're talking a lot of stuff here. Now, this is what I'm going to be doing the rest of today and probably most of tomorrow, is photographing everything and getting the listings up in the shop. Now, there's a lot of semi-solids. There'll be semi-solids in Bounce, fingering weight, Traveler sport weight, and Cozy worsted weight. When I put those in the shop, they're just going to go up. They're going to be available as soon as I put them up. Those I never, reserve and put in just as, preview listings. So once those are up, they're up. Anything that I took out of the shop stock and took to the show with me, I'm just going to put directly back in and it'll just be available. Everything else that I dyed specifically for the show, those things I will put into the shop and they'll be in preview mode until Wednesday at 3, and then you can get them. I'm going to pause now so that I can go grab some of the things to show you. There's no way I can show you everything because it's way, way too much, but I do have a few things that I do want to show you. So just hang on and I will be back in a moment. And if you're not sticking around for the shop segment, that is perfectly fine. I understand, and I will see you next time. I will be doing the drawing for the Bags by Awesome Granny drawing. I'll be doing that the next time I podcast, so that will be episode 180. But otherwise, just hang on and I'll be right back with some goodies that'll be in the shop this week. Okay, I'm back. I think I've gathered enough. I was trying to get together a good representative sampling of what will be in the shop on Wednesday. There's a lot. So I'm just going to start and show you what I brought up to, give you an idea, and then please check the shop to see everything in preview mode. I'm really hoping to have everything up in preview mode by tomorrow afternoon at the latest. Yeah, but there is a little bit of everything, and there's a lot of some things. So if you want self-striping, this will be a really good update for you because I've got it in both fingering weight and sport weight. So let's start there, why don't we? There's going to be a variety. There's going to be a variety of bases available. I have some things on Heavenly, which is my MCN base. This is Serial Killer, so there will be, I believe I just have one skein of this left, but that'll be in there. And this is, there we go. I was going to say, this is not going to want to focus, and I can't sit here forever and wait for things to focus, but just to give you an idea. We've got Cosmic, which you've seen before. That's on Bounce. Gnome Place Like Home on Bounce. This is a new colorway that I think I dyed before I went to Maine. That's the first time I dyed it. It's never been in the shop before, but there's a couple skeins of it now. And it's called Sassy Pants. I just wanted to use some of my brighter colored dyes and put them together with a white stripe in the middle of them. So you will see Sassy Pants in the shop, and I will have a representation of how it'll stripe up, so you can see that. Then I do have quite a few things on the Squish 2.0 base. Since everybody is loving that base, this is a good time to grab some. There'll be some Soft Kitty on Squish, and the Squish 2.0 again is the Corriedale Nylon blend. Superwash, so great for socks, hard wearing socks. There'll be some Pie Day, the original Pie Day. The colors are really, really washing out here. Let me see if I can move this around a little bit. I don't know. The pictures will be more accurate color-wise. Time to Make the Donuts. That's an oldie but a goodie. There'll be some Barn Dance. These are all on Squish 2.0. And some Fruit Loops. And actually, I think there's quite a bit of Fruit Loops, at least like 3 or 4 skeins. I don't remember. But they are all on the Squish 2.0 base. So, and again, that's just sort of a sampling of the fingering weight that I have. There's a lot more fingering weight, additional colorways, additional skeins, everything. And then I also have some sport weight self-striping. I've got Sassy Pants on sport weight also. I have Plumage, which was one of the minis of the month striping colorways a couple months back. I've got the Colors of Happiness. I've got Mystery and Magic. This is an 8 striper. This is a 7 striper in case you forgot. And I've got Pop Art also. And this was another one of the minis of the month striping colorways. So these are some of the ones that'll be in the shop on Traveler, my sport weight base. Again, there will be more colorways and more variety, so just check it out. All right, then moving to variegated and tonal. In the lace weight variety, there will be some lace weight. Didn't do a ton. Lace weight doesn't sell exceptionally well, it shows, so I don't do a lot of it, but there's some nice stuff. I've got some Orion, which is a really nice, deeply tonal purple colorway. I do this on fiber a lot. I don't do it on yarn a lot, but I really like how it turned out on this elegance base with the merino and the silk. This is another colorway that was new before I went to Highlands on the Fly. I've not done it for the shop before, so this is the first time it'll be there. And this is called Brick Alley. It looks, I have some on Sunshine too, so moving up to fingering weight, here's the same thing on Sunshine. Look how different that is. I do this all the time because I love how different things dye up on different bases, but this is the one with the silk and the lace weight, and then this is the fingering weight. It's just this real like kind of earthy red with gray. So Brick Alley. And now that we've moved into the fingering weight tonals and variegateds, I've got some Snow in the Forest on Bedazzled. I've got some Deep Blue Ice on Sunshine. And this is another new colorway. I was really kind of getting into creating new colorways before Highlands on the Fly. This is called Chrysocolla. Chrysocolla is the name of a stone, a type of stone. So that's got the greens and the blues and the browns in them, and a piece of hair sticking off of it from me when I twisted it, apparently. So it's a really nice combination. I love that combination. So okay, so that is what will be in there for skeins of yarn: striping, tonal, and variegated. As far as gradients, I do still have gradients. There will be fingering weight gradients. I don't have a lot of those left, but there will be some on Sunshine. I know you can't really see them well through the bags, but this is Frozen Fairy, which is a deep purple to gray kind of color block gradient. And then I also have some on the Serenity 2.0, which is the Superwash BFL and Bamboo blend. And one of the ones that I have on that is Molten, which is a black to red to orangey color block gradient. There's some more, but I just brought these two up because those are the two bases that you'll find the fingering weight gradients on. I did some mega gradients, the bulky, for the show. Most of those sold, but there are some still left. Even though this one is technically a Christmas colorway, and anything that I had at the show that is a Christmas colorway, I'm not putting in the shop this week. That will go in the next update when I do the Christmas colorways. But since this is the only one of these gradients that I have, I'm going to just go ahead and put it in the shop this time. This is the You're So Scrooged colorway. So that's on a bulky gradient in my mega base. And then I've got Doubletree. And this was, I'm calling this Poodle Skirt. I don't know if I'll ever do this on anything else, but I did this. It's a pink and gray. It's like a medium pink that goes to a gray, that goes to a cherry pink, that goes to the gray, and then a real light pink. It struck me. I wanted to do it, so I did. I don't know if it'll become a regular colorway, but I'm calling it Poodle Skirt. At any rate, those are the only three colorways I have in the bulky gradients for this update. And lastly, there's DK weight gradients, and those are the ones that come with the coupon code for the Takus Chakao. But again, these are really fun gradients to use for that view from the Charles shawl. So you might want to try that, because some of them there are two of, so you could get enough to do that if you wanted to. But a few that I brought up, this one is Dark Fire. I have similar colors or colorways with similar colors. I always need to make sure I'm telling you the right color, but this is Dark Fire. This one is double tap, which is the same as what I'm knitting Christopher's socks out of, just in a gradient form. This one is Fervent Fjord, which that side's sort of messy, but again, they'll all be better in pictures on the website. And lastly, Electric Avenue. And again, I think there may be a couple more. There weren't a ton of these left over either, though. These always sell really, really well at shows. And then that leaves us with fiber. And I do have a fair amount of fiber. Again, I just brought up a representation. Now, I will say I have this. If this looks familiar, yes, it is those 5 colors of Shetland. In preparation for the show, I had enough left from like my stash of the fiber because I just kept basically the leftovers. And there were some smaller pieces that were broken up. I had enough to do 2 5-ounce sets, so it's only 1 ounce of each color. One of them sold at the show, so here's the other one. Again, it's just 1 ounce of each of those 5 Shetland colors. Still enough to qualify for the spin along, you know, because it's a total of 5 ounces. So there's just one of those left. And then some other fiber. Again, it's just a representation. There's more than this, but just to show you. This is that Chrysocolla colorway that I showed you in yarn a minute ago. I did that up on some BFL. I dyed some mixed BFL, which I haven't had for a while. I was really excited to get more in. This is Scylla Beware, so it's a deep blue and a lighter blue on top of that mixed white and gray fiber, or brown. It's actually more of a brown. It's just so pretty. I love dyeing on that fiber. Then this is another one of those colorways that's not been a colorway before. I'm not sure if I'll do it again because it's super close to some other colorways I already have. I'm calling it Fire and Fir, like F-I-R, fir, like a fir tree, because it's got that fiery red and then 2 different greens. I started dyeing it. I was going to do it as my colorway Winter Garden, and I goofed. I used the wrong red from the outset. So I thought, I guess this is going to be something else. So I just added 2 different greens to it. It's very similar to Winter Garden, but it's not the same colors. So I gave it its own name. I don't know if I'll ever do it again, just because it is similar to one that I already have and it's established, but it's pretty and I like it, and it's just different enough that, you know, I find it interesting. And then Sassy Pants, I showed you on yarn. I have 1 braid of Sassy Pants left on fiber, and this is on Polworth. Oh, the Fire and Fur was on BFL Tessa Silk, by the way. So this is that, and the one side has a little bit more white than the other, but it's all mixed together. So this should be really, I think this will be fun to spin with all the white in it, because the white, when you have a lot of white in fiber, it always looks really neat once you spin it together. It softens everything. So anyway, that is my representation of what will be in the shop update on Wednesday. Again, there will be so much more. Just check it out. And hopefully you'll find something that strikes your fancy. So again, that shop update is all of the show leftovers. It'll be at 3 p.m. on Wednesday the 18th, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, so be looking for that. Like I said, as soon as I get this processing, I'm going to be out there taking pictures and starting to do my show listing or shop listings. So that will be my day today and tomorrow. That's it. I'm going to go now, and I will talk to you again next week sometime, hopefully. Remember, next week will be, well, next week is Thanksgiving here in the United States on the 26th. So I will hopefully get to record prior to Thanksgiving because things are going to get busy as of Monday, because both my mom and stepdad are coming into town and Emma will be home. They both all of them come in on the same day and leave the same day. So I'm going to have like a full week of lots of company, which I intend to enjoy. I'll be doing a little bit of work, but hopefully I will have time to record one of those days. I'm going to say probably either Tuesday or Wednesday next week is when I'll record. We'll see. Anyway, that's it for now. Have a great rest of your week. This is Monday, so you've got a whole week ahead of you. Hope it's full of some yarny and fibery goodness, and I will talk to you later. Bye.